I'm going to show you how to design a keychain. We're going to look at a couple of different ways to do that, but once you get logged into your Tinkercad account, first thing you're going to do is click Create New Design. Of course, that's going to open a blank work plane. We're going to use the basic shapes to help us get started. Once you've played around a little bit, you can always come back and design another one. But to get started, the first thing we're going to use is the text. So when you drag the text over, of course we want to change what it says to your name. We're going to go with a keychain that just has your first name on it. So instead of saying text, you can do that. Now notice it's in lowercase. If you want it to be completely blocked out, you might want to type it in all uppercase letters. That's really your preference on how you want to do it. Now, if I were to try and print this right now, each one of these letters, even though I can move them around together, they're not really touching. And so what would happen when I took it off of the print plate, the letters would fall apart. So we actually have to add another shape underneath this. You can change the font when you're here. There's not a whole lot of options, and it really just depends on, again, your preference. If you want to have one that's more stick-like letters, you can kind of go through and play around with that and change the font if you'd like as well. So I've got my name. I'm going to come get a cube to put my name on top of. Now, when I get my cube here, I want to make my cube just as long as my name. So I'm going to grab the black and drag it so that it's just as long, if not just a little bit longer than my name. Again, I want to make sure that it's completely covering. Now, I know I can't see my name right now. That's okay. We're going to also shrink it so that it's not quite as thick. So you can come down until you begin to see your name, depending on how thin you want it. I'm going to go to about 3 millimeters here. Now, I've got my name sitting on top. I could be happy with it just like this, but I need to have a place where my ring could actually go through to attach. We can grab your cylinder, and I don't need a hole this big on that. So once I kind of get it right here, I'm going to resize that as well until I get to a pretty small hole, about a 6 or 7 all the way around. Right now you can see I've got 4. That should do. In this part, you might have to play around until you get it exactly where you want it. So that should be okay. Now, I'm going to drag that till it's kind of in the middle. And what I can do to kind of line this up a little bit better, if I select both things, this is your align button here. We haven't really played around with this button a whole lot, but what it'll do, if I click this middle one right here, it'll line it up so it's perfectly centered. Now, if I happen to click the wrong middle one and put it right here, notice it moved my cylinder hole over here to the middle. I don't want that. Let's put it, kind of click undo here. And so now I have, if I were to group all of this together, group my shapes, now I have my keychain. And I could print it like this. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of ways to do a couple of different things. Let me undo that real quick. So let's say that instead of having my name kind of sticking out of the top right here, that I wanted it cut into the nameplate instead. If you select your name and choose whole, and again, it'll kind of make your name invisible. When you go to select that and group it together, notice it's completely cut my name out. Now, there's negatives and positives to this as well. Because I have my name, the A, the R, and the other A, these little pieces that are kind of cut around would actually end up falling apart whenever I took this off the print plane. I'm going to show you how to fix that part as well. So let's actually undo our group. Instead of having this sitting all the way down, I'm going to take my name, the little black triangle or black cone that's up here, I'm going to raise my name just a little bit, maybe to about a 2. And now I'm going to group them together. So now when I group, you'll notice I can't see all the way through this time, but it is going to cut it into that nameplate. So that's an idea if you want to give that a try. Again, there's some other things you could do. If you don't want a rectangular tag for your keychain, you could always round the edges or choose a different shape to put your name on. If I undo that group again, let me show you how you can do that. If you click on just your cube or that rectangular shape that you had, we have these different options here. If I round that, the radius, notice what happens to my shape. It's not a cube anymore. I don't want to go too big though, because then I would have to adjust my name. If I just wanted to round the edges a tiny bit, then, you know, that gives it just a little bit of a different shape. Again, you could choose another one. Just make sure that whatever you're choosing will fit your name on it. If you have a long first name, you might want to go with the cube to stretch it out. If your name is pretty short, you know, you might have a better, you might be able to choose the heart or the flat star. Don't choose the star that has the pointed, because it'd be too hard to print on top of. There is one more thing I wanted to show you. On this keychain, I used a cylinder hole to make the cutout to where the ring would go through. I want to show you one other option that you could make if you don't want to do that one. I'm going to actually just completely duplicate what I have here. So remember, you've got your duplicate button here. That's going to give me an exact copy. And just so I know which one I'm pulling apart, I'm going to change it to a different color. If I pull that one, I've got the exact same thing. I'm going to make some changes to the orange one here rather than my red one. If I don't want to have a hole here to be my where I put the ring through, instead of having that, I'm going to show you another option that would give you just a little bit more space. I'm going to resize it there, and I'm actually going to still stay here in my basic shapes. I'm going to use the round roof, which I know is kind of an odd shape to choose. Once I get it over here, I need to do some rotating. And so we want to rotate it 90 degrees one way. Get it almost there. And then I need to rotate it 90 degrees again. There we go, 90 degrees again. And then I'm going to shrink this down. It's a little too big. If you remember, mine was only 3, the actual plate that I have my keychain sitting on. Now, once I have this, I want to line it up with my keychain, and I want it overlapping a little bit, so you see that little line showing me where it's overlapping. Again, I always want to check from all angles, but I can always use my align as well, so it's lined up perfectly. Oh, like I say, it's lined up perfectly. Let's bring it up a little bit so it's actually touching. There we go. Now, once I have this, I notice right now it's just a shape. I'm going to duplicate this again. Again, I want to change it to a different color just so I can really see what I'm working with here. I'm going to drag that one out. There we go. And then I'm actually going to make it a little bit smaller than the one we have here. I'm going to just shrink it just a little bit. And then I'm going to change it to a hole and put it inside there. Now, I do need to make that a little bit thicker so that it actually cuts through. And it's okay if it's sticking way up. Again, it's a hole, so it doesn't really matter. I just want to make sure it gets centered. Again, we can group those two things and then align those. Let's see how we're doing. Oh, I'm way up in the air again. Again, this is why we check from all angles. There we go. Now it's cut through. And then I can group. So let me show you what happens here once you group. And it looks like I didn't go all the way through the bottom, but you kind of get the gist. It's going to make more of a rounded hook to be your keychain where you would flip through instead of having just the hole. So that's just another option for how you could make your keychain there if you wanted to. Again, kind of play around with it till you get your final design. Again, once you have that final design ready to go, make sure you export, save as an STL. Once it saves as an STL to your computer, you're going to attach that file. Oh, one thing I forgot to do, make sure you rename this to Keychain. And so then I'll know what it is you're sending me as a message in Schoology. I'd say add your name, but your name's going to be on your keychain, so I'll be able to tell whose it is. Have fun designing, guys.